Buddy, how you doing? Doing pretty good, huh? Enjoying your little vacation here running the metal refinery? Doesn't really look like a vacation, does it? What if, though, Meep, we were to redo all of our metal refineries? Where have you gone, bud? What was that? We already did the metal refineries? Nobody wants to watch the metal refineries again? But whoa, hang on, dude. Just pause for a moment. I've got a fantastic idea. What if we were to run molten lead through the metal refineries? Why in the world would you run molten lead? I mean, what's the point of that? We're already just running water through here and it comes out the other end, and then for the most part it works and we get the refined metals out of it. But there's one property right here that I think gives it some merit, and that is that molten lead can go up to 1,750 degrees Celsius. Look at that number. Are you kidding me? And what melts at a lower temperature than 1,750 degrees Celsius? You guessed it, Meep. Regolith melts at below 1,700 degrees. Matter of fact, it melts at a cool 1,400 degrees Celsius. I know, right? The last time we were dealing with temperatures this hot, we were working with hydrogen rockets, but now we might possibly be able to do it just running the humble metal refinery. So the first thing we got to do here is melt down lead, which is actually fairly easy to do. You don't even need any sort of modded equipment to do it because the metal refinery will output enough heat. If you put crude oil into this, or even better, petroleum, that'll give you more than enough heat to melt down lead, because that stuff can go up to 400 degrees before it turns into petroleum, or it goes up to 500 degrees before it turns into sour gas. However, since this is the super modded playthrough, we have a heater that will actually allow us to do this fairly easily. So right down here, the Sensei super heater right there can go up to a maximum temperature of 800 degrees as compared to the liquid tepidizer, which tops out at 85 degrees. There was a way to actually trick that to make it go even higher, but this modded piece of equipment here is just kind of the bigger version of that same heater right there, if you can imagine it being even bigger. That's 6,000 DTUs per second, in case you're wondering. Huge! The amount of power it consumes, though, is pretty big, too, at 1.44 kilowatts. Okay, so here's my blueprint of how I'm going to melt down lead. So I've got the Sensei super heater right here, and that's going to be plugged into an automation signal so that the temperatures don't get too hot. And inside of here, we're going to have crude oil. So this is going to be relatively hot, and it's surrounded right now by sedimentary rock. The reason we're going with sedimentary rock is because it has a very low specific heat capacity, and since I'm building in space, it's not going to be a big deal. So we'll just kind of heat up all of this really quickly. Not a big deal. And then I'm going to introduce lead over here via the automatic dispenser. Normal piece of equipment. Plop, right in there. And then we'll have two liquids in the same spot. Now to filter this out, I have a filtered liquid pump down here. I'm not 100% sure how this works, but we're going to give it a try. So this is the filtered liquid pump. It's from Filtered Pumps mod, and this should hopefully allow us to just suck out the liquid lead. Not only that, the lead should be over here on the left, and it might possibly be heavier than the crude oil. I would hope so. So we should be able to pump it out that way as well. So once we have the liquid lead, then we can go ahead and start to run it through our refineries. So this is what I have set up right here. This is a metal refinery, and it is sitting on top of radiative tiles right here. So this stuff's going to have to be built in space because the temperatures that are going to be running through these pipes are so high that even if I were to insulate it, I would need like super insulated pipes in order to not melt everything around it, because the maximum temperature of these metal refineries, they'll just break, and you might cook your dupes in the meantime, even if they're inside of Atmo suits. It's happened before. Isn't that right, Meep? You remember all those crispy dupes, don't you? So with a plan like this, I might potentially be able to keep the metal refineries from melting. I don't know if this is going to work. Anyhow, essentially what we're going to use over here is something that I've used in the past over here with this setup, where I essentially use a high flow gas reservoir, in this case a liquid reservoir, in order to create two separate loops. So how this system works over here is that we have two separate loops. We have one loop for heating, and we have another loop for dissipating that heat. So that's going to be the same sort of thing over here. We are going to conduct heat, we're going to pump heat into the system via these metal refineries. So we have one loop right up over here, and that will connect to the discharge part of our reservoir right there. And then the return line, which should be hotter, will actually just pump into this tank. So the heat inside of here should continue to build up and build up and build up. Out of the top of this unit, we're actually going to have another loop, and this is going to be to exchange it into salt, into regolith, whatever. So that'll dissipate the heat into that stuff, melting it down, and then ultimately that stuff will then power a steam turbine and generate loads and loads of power for us. Not to mention igneous rock, which then can be turned into sand and used throughout my base, and all that good stuff. But then again, I've never done this before, so I have no idea if this is going to work. But first things first, we need to melt some lead. So those are the makings of my plan thus far. Some other things that I've been up to here is I put a transit tube access point in over here because, let's face it, I have lots of lead and whatnot that I'm going to be digging up over in this spot, and I need to move it around. So that seemed like a good spot to put one there. And I made some slight adjustments over here by adding a transit tube access point to this spot as well. That was something you guys were recommending in the comment section. And I thought it was a pretty good idea. So, boom, that's what I got going on right here. One of the other ideas was to actually look at the automation for these incubators, potentially use the output of this to trigger the clock pulse for the next spot over here. So actually trigger one, then trigger the next, then trigger the next, so that not all of these can be active at the exact same time. You know, if dupes are preoccupied or whatever. I think that would work so long as I always have an egg for each one of these different spots here. If I don't, if I start off with like something like a molten larva thing, then I may never be able to activate these ones over here. So kind of got to keep that in mind. But I think that's a cool idea as far as limiting what is active and what's not active. And you might be able to schedule the next thing that your dupe is going to do while they're working on this incubator. One cool thing though is that we do have a molten larva right there. Do we have one up here yet? No, we do not. Speaking of temperatures, how are we doing? We're at 110. Well, these guys seem to be rather happy. Okay, never mind, they're all glum, but this is working out pretty good. Got a bunch of crude oil down here. Quality. And pretty soon, we'll have some petroleum right over there. And then we might be able to even go from carbon dioxide straight to steel. That would be even better. There you go, Xenix. You go over there, you jump in the little transit tube thing, zoom. And of course, you just like go the minimum distance, don't you? I suppose one thing I should move down here is this guy. But let's not focus on that. We want to focus on this right down here. So, okay, so I think a good spot for all of the metal refineries is going to be in this spot right here. That'll be close by to our kind of sorting arrangement spot. So all of the stuff that'll be built here will actually be shipped up into this spot. And then we'll send the automation signal back down to it to disable the various metal refineries. So we're not going to be using any sort of little weight plates here. We'll actually just use the wireless automation to take care of that. Well, I mean, we might be using weight plates up here, but you get the idea. There's some more advanced, but you get the idea. There's some more advanced stuff that's going to go on here. Instead of using various storage bins around the map, they're all going to be in one spot. That's a bigger project for the future here. Alright, so I'm going to build my metal refineries here, and then I'm going to reserve the space for the rest of the refineries all the way over here. So this is all going to be dedicated towards that. If I want to build more of them, then I can build more of them over here. So that means the rest of the stuff I'm going to build is going to be right down here. Temperatures we're dealing with are so high that I have to use obsidian because the other material is just completely unobtainable in the quantities I'm going to need here. Even if I had rockets running the whole time, which we're not even to the rocket stage at this point. Yeah, there's plenty of interesting stuff to do before we get to rockets here. So this metal refinery will hopefully conduct some thermal energy out of this refinery. Otherwise, I should be able to put a little bit of dot of liquid right here if I wanted to. You can see that the liquid out here goes up and then over a bridge, just like that. So if I put a dot of liquid right there, then it shouldn't be conducting with the pipe. So we can actually avoid that while still thermally connecting these two. Maybe. We'll see. But the thing is, if it does require that, then I'm going to want to actually just put an extra block over here, maybe even one vertically, just to make sure the liquid doesn't move around. Alright, so I've spaced out 6 metal refineries all the way over here, just like that. But we're not building the refinery part just yet, because that's actually made out of ceramic, and I don't think I have enough ceramic at the moment. I do, however, want to lay out the pipes. That way I know where it's going to end up. I had these little spots like this. That way the dupes can just jump out of here from the access point, so they don't need to run on the ladder this entire time. It should help with construction time just a little bit. Now, for the liquid, that's going to be right over here. High flow liquid reservoir. I'm going to do the horizontal one. Since the liquid is flowing out over here from right to left, I'm just going to put this tank over here. So all of these pipes are made out of obsidian, just like this. The reason I'm using obsidian is because it's one of the few materials that can actually withstand the temperatures here. See, this melts at 2,700 degrees. However, if we were to use something like sedimentary rock, you can see here that it melts at 900 degrees, which means that the pipe eventually would melt, even if it's insulated. Which is something you definitely don't want to happen, especially if you're using insulated tiles around something like magma. Keep that in mind when you're working around magma. Do not make insulated tiles out of the wrong stuff. Alright, so to get power in here, I'm making all of this stuff down here out of iron. The rest of that is out of lead because I have a lot of it. But that should work pretty good. And then the background tiles, those are out of sedimentary as well. Again, the reason I'm using sedimentary is to just kind of reduce the amount of thermal mass I have to heat up. And then over here on the right, I'm going to go ahead and just use a bottle emptier. That'll bring in the crude oil. There's really not enough crude oil that's going to be down here that I really need to run a big old pipe all the way over there. What I'll do over here is actually just use a liquid bottler, which I may not even need to use a liquid bottler. I mean, I already have all those slicksters up there doing a lot of work, so I might already have enough on hand. Hey, look at this little guy. Look at how happy he is. I put a little airflow tile right here, so a little bit of carbon dioxide finds its way over there. Not much, though. Ooh. Checking on our shine bug reactor here, we can see this is up to 314 watts. Ooh. Let's take a look at the pips. Ooh, they're doing pretty good. Although, I think I see a problem here. I don't think I'm auto-harvesting. Ah, I'm not. We need to do that. Nope, no. Don't run. Don't run. Please don't. Okay, awesome. So I have this thing built up here. What I'm going to do is now bring in some crude oil. Say enable auto bottle, put this to a relatively higher priority, and I should be able to bring in some crude oil right there. I think I might want to build a tile just right there so that none of it escapes into space as it's actually dropping past. That actually can happen. And then over here, I'm just going to bring in a little bit of lead. So that'll be under refined metal. There we go. Can I say sweep only? Sure. Let's go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to go down here, and using my sweep materials mod, I'm going to go down and look for refined metals. Ooh, look at that. You even get little icons. Oh, that's fancy. And we're going to sweep up this lead right there. There's actually a lot of it right there. 1,000, 2,000, and another 1,000 right there. Boom. Super nice. So we can pick that stuff up and then run it right from that transit tube access point all the way up over here. Boom. Just like that. And then it spits it out. Errands, we can kind of see that some people are looking at this right now, but not a whole lot. We should have some crude oil here and there bottled up. We can go ahead and sweep that. You can see our natural gas geyser is up and running again. Very nice. Glad to have the extra power. Our shine bug reactor is up to 366 watts now, so that's nice. Ooh, the auto sweeper, that thing I guess needs to go. Let's just deconstruct that. Same with that guy. How hot is it down there? 50s, not too bad. But the incubators are putting off a decent amount of heat, aren't they? Let's take a look at my critters real quick. This is completely full. The long hairs are not full, so let's go ahead and just kind of disable some of these from working. We don't necessarily need to unselect anything here, but what we can do is we could just say it never becomes active. So that's one way of disabling it. I don't need any more ethanol slicksters to reproduce quickly, so we'll just disable that one real quick. Same sort of thing with the long hairs. We don't need a lot of those. I think the pips are just fine at this point, so we'll kind of disable that as well. This is one way to save some power. Sage hatchlings, we probably don't need to incubate those at a fast rate either. No, we got plenty of that. Ooh, nutrient bar. Thank you. See if we can bring in a little bit more crude oil. Anybody else got some errands running? Not too much. All right, let's crank up the errands. Priority level 9. Does somebody want to help this poor long hair slickster out? It's just stuck down here. Poor little guy. Here, we'll put you out of your misery. Blah! Meat is on the menu today, dupes. Oh, wow, that went fast. Oh, that's nice. The liquid bottler is slowly melting. Hey, just as long as we get our liquid out of it. Come on, dupes. Oh my gosh, look at all this steam over here. 10 kilograms per tile. But look at how big this area is. 50 kilograms per tile. What? Okay, dupes. We need to make an emergency run over here. There is just a mountain of steam in this area. And it's venting into space, but the power, the energy that is in this spot. Oh, we can't let it go to waste. All right, dupes. I know you got other things that are important, but this is important. Everything's very important, dupes. Just do all of it, please. Ooh, look at this fancy pump. Ooh, molten lead. It is a selectable option. That's a good sign. We're going to take obsidian out, and we're going to run it into this pipe. Well, you know what? Actually, we'll run it into this pipe because it's close by. That makes good. After a little bit of a liquid bridge. Ooh, and then we go up here like that. Boom. Draws only the specific liquid and runs it through the pipes. Perfect. What an amazing piece of equipment. I like this. All right, so here we are. We've now made it into this spot. Ooh, there's steam venting everywhere. Save the Steam 2020. It's our new activist campaign. What is inside of here? I hear something. Did you guys hear that? Oh, it's a vending machine. How nice. One more, dupe. Oh, right next to some sleep wheat. How convenient. Oh, I'm sorry, Vulcan. I have yet to give you any skills. I'm terrified of the skill menu, by the way. So, we're gonna hit save here. We're gonna give it a try. Yes! You're saved, buddy! What was your job? What were you gonna do? Oh, that's right, we need ranching. Enjoy. I need a lot of ranchers. Critter ranching 2. Thank you. Rancher, that brings me up to 4 ranchers in total. One of them is double dutying as some farming as well. So that's probably a good combo, actually. I would think. All right, there we go. So now I have about 300 kilograms of crude oil. So is it possible, once I reconnect to this wire, there you go, boop, there you go, to heat up this liquid down here? I am in a couple of power cycles right now. I have a fair amount of natural gas up here. We've got a good amount of hydrogen. We should be ready to actually deliver a lot of power to this. So let's try to go up to 200 degrees just to start off with. So if we take a look at the temperature, you can see that, yep, it's increasing quickly. And if we take a look at the power consumption, you can see everything is running. This battery is draining out quickly. But we are able to pump more power into the system than we are using, so that's always a positive. All right, so that was fairly quick, right up to 200. Now we have lead over here. It's going to take a little while for this to heat up because it has a fairly high mass. We've moved 3,000 kilograms in here. Now the thing is, when this goes and turns into a liquid, it's actually going to take up a lot more space here. So I think we're gonna not bring in any more crude oil. Let's bring this up to 300. Bring on the power, baby! Ooh, look at that. 250 degrees Celsius. Again, the temperature we need to get to is over 327 degrees. So let's put this at 350, huh? Ooh, overheat damage. Very nice. Oh, crap. No! Okay, deconstruct this pump. What did I make it out of? Steel. I made it out of steel. Overheat temperature 275. Okay, I guess that makes sense. We're gonna deconstruct it and we're gonna move that pump up a few spots here. I don't know exactly how this is going to work. We're gonna move it up. I'm also going to deconstruct this, and we're going to build the tiles up a little bit taller. I don't know how much everything is going to expand here when I go to try this, so let's do all of that. We're also going to sweep up the steel. Don't want anything extra down there. I know, Rex, it's kind of hot. What do you think, Boogies? Think it's going to work? I think it has a chance. It's now up to 300 degrees. It's getting pretty close. You know, technically, I should be able to pump the crude oil out of here and then just get rid of it or bottle it up or whatever. And then just leave this with like molten lead down here. I don't know. It's a sacrificial pump. That's all I know. This is going to go... I mean, you might as well just go for broke here. How about 390? Oh, what do we have? Molten lead. Ooh. Can we sweep that steel up? Why is that lead there not heating up? It's at 164 degrees. Ooh, what? All right, and we're just gonna move it, see what happens there. There you go. Huh. So now I've got this really weird situation where it's like, all right, let's just build a pump down here. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just gonna build a pump down here. It's going to continuously overheat, but I should be able to get that liquid lead out of there. If I crank this up, I know we're gonna convert it into petroleum. Whatever, let's go to petroleum. Let's see what happens here. Let's go crazy with this. That's 450. Okay, it's overheating, but what do we have in the pipes? No, molten lead. Now it's running through non-insulated pipes. That might be a problem. Cold damage, and then the lead is actually dropping back down. Yeah, okay, so that is a problem. However, you can see it quickly heats up the pipe, so that's not too big of an issue. What I really want to happen here is I do want these pipes to preheat up to a safe temperature. I wasn't really planning to do it like this, but it's working. This is the most destructive way to move anything around. Okay, automatic dispenser. Let's go ahead and rebuild that. I mean, we might as well just sweep this lead up right now and move it back down. Uh-oh, we got naphtha down there. That's not good. Hey, in case you were wondering, that's the color of molten lead inside of a pipe. Cool, it's orange. I like it. I've never seen molten lead inside of a pipe like that. All right, refined metal, sweep only. And we just say sweep. There you go. I'm actually glad at just how well this works, even though it's completely weird. You know it's gonna blow everything up on the way back through here, right? Hey, look at this. Now we have some oxygen. That's good. Ooh, leafy slickster eggs. We actually have so many ethanol slicksters now. I've got too many of them. We're gonna have to start to turn them into barbecue. Speaking of food, ooh, we're doing pretty good. All right, how's our... This is so ridiculous. And yet, I enjoy it way too much. Then again, it is about 1 o'clock in the morning, so I suppose I'm easily entertained. Oops, where did you sweep that lead to? Oh no, we got a floral hatch that found its way in. Sorry, dupes. Ooh, allergic reaction, not good. Do I have any medicine for that? Nope, definitely got rid of that piece of equipment. Sorry, dupes. But you know what we could use? We could use ourselves another marble block. All right, so what do we have inside of here? Coolant? No, I guess we don't have any coolant in there. What do we have inside of here? Pipes? Is the pipes connected? Where did all my lead go? Oh, I'm guessing it went right here. Oh, you know what might be happening? Ooh, it might have fell through space a little bit. That would not be good. Oh, you know what? There's just a ton of it right there. It's just heating up. But just in case, I'm putting down a bunch of drywall. I'll remove that in a moment once we kind of get all of this pipe up to temperature. Oops, you forgot one tile right here. I'm sure there's about 1,000 comments saying that you're still venting steam. One more! Save the steam. Oh yeah, there we go. Actually, you can see how the drywall here does end up exposed a little bit to the liquid that's running past it. So there was a little bit of it actually escaping into space, just a little bit. But then again, I have tons and tons of it right down here, just like literally 7 tons, more tons, more tons. Okay, so just in case you're wondering, because there's probably a good amount of comments about that by now, the reason I'm using normal pipes over insulated pipes is that once you get it preheated up to the temperature that you want it at, it will not radiate away in space. Whereas I've found that when I use an insulated pipe, it's actually really hard to get it up to temperature. However, the stuff that runs through there is constantly losing a little bit of heat. So I find that you end up kind of fighting the system if you end up with a situation where a pipe becomes stagnant, right? So if this was to be blocked up because we're waiting for the metal refineries to run, over a good amount of time, this lead will eventually get too cold inside of that pipe because it's taking forever to kind of heat up the insulated pipe that it's in. So what we're doing here is we're just getting rid of all the headaches to begin with by preheating the pipe. That way we can just let the molten liquid sit inside of the pipe and not have to worry about it. So as you can see, we've already done all that, so we're good to go now. And all of the pipe is up there at 480 degrees Celsius, except for the stuff that's running out, but that shouldn't be too much of an issue. So at this point, I can go ahead and run some steel through here. We'll set this to a nice high priority. We'll kind of get rid of this for a moment. Matter of fact, it might even be disabled. Yes, it's disabled. And we'll see just how much heat we can move into this unit. So the temperature of the molten lead right now is at 440 degrees, or just about that. All right, so there we go. We ran our very first chunk of steel. Ooh, and what do we got going on here? Well, it looks like the pipe is instantly having an issue, which is to be expected because this hasn't been preheated at all. Which I think means that probably this metal refinery is going to have some issues as well. So, okay, it's still hanging in there. There we go, ran it for the second time, still seeing heat damage in that initial pipe. Okay, we need to disable this for a moment. I think we're going to disable the auto repair, try to repair the pipe. No. Okay, so one of the things I can see right here is that the radiative tile is relatively hot. We're talking 170 degrees Celsius, and it's actually radiating a significant amount of heat. So that's a good sign. One thing I might need to do here is actually just use an insulated pipe on the way out, which really wouldn't be that big of an issue because it's not going to sit there. This pipe is just going to run back quickly. So if I continue to have issues here, I think an insulated mafic solution is a good way to go. Unless that isn't an option. No, it's not. But I should be able to do insulated ceramic. That would actually be really good. Okay, another thing I can see here is that the metal refinery is in fact not cooling down. So even though it's on top of radiative tiles, it's not cooling. So what I want to do is create just a little bit of a liquid connection between this metal refinery and the radiative tiles below it. So I'm going to go ahead and make a bottle emptier there. And then I should be able to put a liquid down there that should work really good, which I think I already have some right up here. That should be the anti-gel. So the anti-gel turns to steam at 207 degrees, polluted ice at -85. Otherwise, it actually works pretty good here. Long liquid bridge? Whoa, what's going on here? This is 1,600 degrees Celsius? How hot is lead on the way out? There's no way that lead should be going in here, right, at 400 degrees, and then coming out at 1,600. How does that happen? That shouldn't happen. Molten lead, 0 kilograms at 2,200 degrees Celsius? Is it? No, that seems ridiculous. Let's empty the storage and just hope something doesn't explode. Oh, geez. Oh, boy. All right, so now I've had to switch this over to a bottle emptier so I can get the molten lead back into the pump, back into the system. Clearly, this is easy. And the temperature of this pipe 1,600 degrees. Okay, so I think I might be having the opposite problem. So, what do we have this time? Molten lead at 477 degrees. We're gonna do steel. Let's just do a bit of it. Okay, Meep, here you go. All right, Meep, what's gonna happen? Temperatures. We currently have molten lead. No, status. 476. And it's done. Liquid. What? Temperatures? Lead. 2,070 degrees Celsius? What have you done, mate? What is the heat capacity of lead? It's not that low. Is it? I mean, it's 0.1 per gram. I guess that is a fair bit less than water. Crap. But crude, is it? Okay, well, I think that's what's going on here. All right, so if you look at this one right here, 117 kilojoules of heat will be produced to cool off the fabricated item. This will rise the temperature of the contained molten lead by 1,800 degrees Celsius. So, running steel this way is a little bit too much. How about iron? We can do iron. Gold is actually probably a good option for this. It only goes up 200 degrees Celsius. Copper does 600. All right. Then instead of steel, gosh, I didn't think the specific heat capacity was that bad. I didn't look at it that close, but let's do gold instead. Well, that's a bummer. I would have thought molten lead would have had a higher specific heat capacity. I didn't even bother to look at it, but apparently not. 0.1, apparently like a 40th of what we have in water. Is there any other liquid that I could potentially run like this? Okay, you know what? There is another option here. Molten aluminum. It turns to a gas at 2,400 degrees Celsius. So yeah, why not go for broke here? Let's switch it up. Don't settle for lead. Let's go all the way for aluminum. Let me hit save real quick. So the difference here is that the specific heat capacity is 0.9. So that means we might be able to use this for more than just gold, right? Because if we just use it for gold, that's not going to be all that useful up here. The other thing is I want to cool this down, so let's go ahead and throw some anti-gel on top of it. There you go. Give that a try. I'm going to use the automatic dispenser. We'll build it right down here, and then we're going to fill this, believe it or not, with aluminum. So that means our filtered pump down here is going to look for molten aluminum. And can I even get the temperatures up high enough for that? Yes, of course I can. Okay, excellent. Let's take it up to 700. Oh, and because we're going to have to preheat all of these pipes again. Oh gosh. No! I'm out. All right, so there we go. Now we got a little bit of anti-gel here, and this anti-gel is dropping the temperature of the metal refinery because we're using the radiative tiles. So these are now thermally connected. That's good. Which means I can deconstruct the background buildings right here, like that, and also in this spot because we don't want the bridge to be affected. So this bridge was not actually in contact with this tile. We were just outputting incredibly high temperatures. Okay, why don't I have any power down there? Oh, because it melted the wires. Of course it melted the wires. Why wouldn't it? Oh, I guess the heat turned back on. We got a whole bunch of sour gas everywhere. That's what I expected, actually, so that's good. Which means down here I should not have petroleum, but rather molten lead. Maybe. Yes, that molten lead is at 600 degrees Celsius. Beautiful. This is the weirdest thing I've ever tried in this game. Oh, crap. Melted all the wires again. My biggest problem is that I keep melting all my wires. All right. Come on, dupes. We got this. Oh, there goes all the sour gas. Look at the temperature. It's so hot. Look at that. What did I set it to? 900? Come on, man. A little bit more heat. You'll be just fine. I mean, actually, how hot can molten lead get? Actually, I'm limited to 800 degrees here because that is the maximum temperature of the superheater. It cannot go any higher than that. So, at this point, what I really need is some aluminum. Where do we have some aluminum? Let's go up here. Let's hit sweep. Look for metal ore. Yes. Take aluminum. And there you go. So now we should be able to move some of that. 1,700 kilograms is on the move. We have very, very strong tubes, apparently. There we go. 1,800. Blech. Okay, that's probably enough. So 2,000 has moved all the way down here. We can see that the aluminum is currently at 71 degrees. It has a ways to go. Actually, taking a little while to heat up, which is exactly what it should be doing because we have lead down here. That's our thermal conductor, but it doesn't have a lot of specific heat capacity. Wait a minute. What? Aluminum melts at 660, yeah? But aluminum ore... Oh, crap, I moved the wrong thing. That melts at 1,083. Quick, sweep it up. Oh no, something's going to get really hot up the stairs, man. Oh no, not good, not good. Aluminum to aluminum ore. Or how much aluminum do I have? Refined metal, aluminum. 625 kilograms. And it's in that spot. So let's sweep that up down here to refined metals. Okay, there you go. High priority. And then maybe we'll actually use one of these machines over here just to refine a little bit of extra aluminum. All right, so here we go. Now we have aluminum down there. Boom. See the temperature going up. Guess we dropped a little bit more on it. It's currently at 400 degrees. All right, 660. There we have it. Molten aluminum. What does that look like? Oh, look at that. It's kind of like, it's grayish. Cool. We are going to get a lot of cold damage here. Ooh, sorry, transit tube. You can see it's actually moving through the pipe there pretty easily. I think we only get about 2 or 3 blocks of damage, but then it just moves on. So there we have it. We've now moved molten liquid all the way up here, and it's now flowing into the tank. Awesome. So here's a crazy idea. What if I do this number and just connect this so then it actually runs around in a loop? And that way I can kind of preheat all of this. I had to get rid of the lead over here, so I deconstructed that, but cancel that and then bring this in. I think we also need to fix the transit tube. I think I want to mop this up too. All right, so let's connect the output pipe here and just see what kind of damage we end up with. I'm sure it's going to be a lot. So that's connected. Oh, it's going to break a bunch of stuff. Should probably re-enable the auto repair. Yes. Yep, that didn't take long. There you go. Let's sweep it up. All right, so here we go. We're currently trying to heat this pipe up from... I don't know exactly how hot it is. From whatever temperature it was to now the high enough temperature to actually allow the aluminum to move through it. All right, so there we go. It's doing pretty good. We've managed to get the pipe to move all the way to here. Just run around, keep sweeping, keep repairing. You got it, Toops. We're almost there. All right, so at this point, I'm going to disconnect this, just like that. So now the liquid is going to move to the right a little bit more because it's not breaking anything at this point. So now we can start to fill up this. So inside of here, we have molten aluminum. We can now see if we want to turn aluminum ore into aluminum, that's going to put out 56,000 kilojoules right there, increasing the temperature by 124 degrees Celsius. The big one was steel. So if we take a look at steel, that's 117 kilojoules. That's only going to raise the temperature now by 257 degrees Celsius. That's compared to like 1,800. So that's far more manageable. Not only that, we're going from a temperature of around 700 degrees, which will bump it up to roughly 1,000, a little over 1,000 degrees right there. I think, maybe, I don't know. Quick math. So not only that, we can go up to 2,400 degrees Celsius. So really, we can tune this machine to work at over 2,000 degrees Celsius, easily melting many things that we'll come across, and still maintain kind of a safe buffer for our working temperatures here. Whereas lead was a little bit more difficult because we couldn't really, well, it wasn't really usable now, was it? I think we got something that's going to work here. All right, so let's set the priority to this super high. Guess we're waiting for a little bit more coolant to show up here. Is there anything we can mop down here? Too much liquid. It's a very hot mop you have there. And then empty just the aluminum. See, that's the thing. I'm going to need a fair amount of aluminum in order to fill this whole thing up. So I think what I'm going to have to do is go through here, and anything that happens to be made out of aluminum ore, I'm going to have to replace with some other material, which happens to be quite a few things because this whole area, that was the only metal I had at the time. So I'll have to kind of swap out a lot of my equipment and then melt it down to make aluminum so that I can then use this to kind of run a higher end machine. Oh, you can see that this thing actually ran. That's cool. So gold is right there and the aluminum is on its way back, but this time it's now 750 degrees. I don't know what it was before. It must have cooled down a little bit on its way through some of these pipes, but ha! Awesome. Let's take a look at the metal refinery. It is producing a little bit of heat there, so we're going to have to deal with that. But the liquid on the way out, aluminum, not bad. So let's go ahead and empty this anti-gel right there. And then I'll go through here and I'll sweep up all of this. So now this thing should not overheat. It should actually start to cool down because it is exposed to radiative tiles. Ha! That's pretty cool. Look at that. Neat. Hey, look at that. The game realized I needed some aluminum ore, so it gave me a little bit. Sweet. The temperature of this thing does keep going up, actually. All right, so that completes the gold run right there. We made 1,000 kilograms of gold. Very nice. It's at 40 degrees Celsius. It's not taking in any heat here because it's in space. It's pretty nice. The temperature of the metal refinery evened out at about 93 degrees Celsius right there because it balanced with the radiative tiles down here, which happen to be made out of aluminum ore. What I'm going to do now is try to convert aluminum ore into aluminum and then take the aluminum and melt it down to make more coolant. As it turns out, this here has 587 kilograms inside of it, so I'm actually going to need quite a bit of aluminum in order to run this full loop. However, I should have enough aluminum around. I have this big radiative tile over here which contains just loads and loads of it, plus I already have 6 tons right now, and there's lots and lots of equipment that I can replace with other stuff. So right now, let's go ahead and try to crank out a little bit more of this. Oh jeez. I left my slicksters alone here for a little bit and they're starting to fill up everything up here. No, empty it. Ooh, what do we got going on here? Molten lead. Ooh, the aluminum is floating. Okay, so I've got 200 kilograms of aluminum down here. That should melt pretty soon. And there we go. We're now pumping that out. So now I have even more aluminum. And this is pretty cool. Hey, if we take a look at the Shinebug reactor down here, this bad boy's up to 704 watts. Ooh. I'm also trying to build up some more ceramic. So I'm just gonna do this number right here. This happens to be all polluted water, which gives off polluted oxygen. We'll convert it into clean oxygen, and voila. Give ourselves converting sand essentially into clay, and then that clay can become ceramic. So what I'm going to do there is just take the kiln, and we're just going to build a kiln right down here. All right, there goes another 600 kilograms of aluminum. Make that 700. Ha! This is working out pretty cool. I now have a mountain of molten aluminum at 1,400 degrees. Hey, it looks like the pips are doing pretty good. Hey, now you can see the liquid over here. So all of this molten aluminum is just kind of piled up right there. And if you take a look at the temperatures, you can see that the temperature of the pipe is extremely hot, 1,000 degrees. So what I'm waiting for right now is to get more ceramic. So essentially I have all of these deodorizers running over here. And they're outputting a little bit of clay, which is then going to be turned into ceramic. So instead of polluted oxygen over here, we're going to have clean oxygen. And then once I have enough ceramic, I'll be able to build the rest of the metal refineries here and start running multiple different types of materials. So I can build that one right there, just like this, all the way across. Okay, so here's one issue. I think my high flow liquid reservoir might potentially be at the risk of melting itself. Its temperature is up to 551 degrees Celsius, and it will melt at 1,500 degrees C. So I think what I want to do is actually make this out of steel. However, to do that, it's fairly easy. We're just going to cut this. That will completely empty out. We can deconstruct it, replace it with a steel one. Okay, so now that that's complete, just reconnect it, and we're good to go. So this one, you can do 2,400 degrees. We're okay. Ooh, we got a second metal refinery. What to run in this one? I probably don't want to pump more heat into this until I have enough aluminum to fill everything I want. So, probably just run some more aluminum ore in here. Oh, you know what? I don't even have it connected, so it's probably a good idea to run nothing through there. I got rid of that one chunk of pipe right there. How did you find your way up here, Ethanol Slickster? When did that happen? When did this happen? What? These slicksters? Oh my gosh, look at them all. Look at them all! They're everywhere! There we have it, more and more and more aluminum. Awesome. Look at that. 1,700 kilograms of molten aluminum. Well, this is a pretty cool concept, and I think it has some potential of being really neat when it comes to melting things down and potentially producing a lot of power, or just other resources, maybe even crazy things, such as converting oxygen into stone. I don't know. There's definitely a lot of fun to be had with this. At any rate, that's all I got time for today. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this little episode here of Oxygen Not Included. Stay awesome, guys. Peace. Brothgar out.